Hello, my name is Jacob Bigman. This is going to be my demonstration speech for my CST 100 class. Think of it now. The smell of sugar in the air, so light and sweet. That is the smell of a homemade cake. In this short speech, I'll tell you how to bake a cake better than Paula Deen herself. I'll tell you what you need, everything you'll need to do, so let's get started. So first, you're going to need 1.5 cups of unsalted butter that is softened. And you could also have some extra for greasing your pan in the future, but also you will be able to use Pam when we get to that point too. You're going to need 1.5 cups of sugar, which I actually don't have the sugar bag with me. I just have it in a jar right here. You're going to need 3 large eggs that we're going to add in at one point. You're going to need 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, which I also had that, not in the original container. You're going to need 1 teaspoon of salt. 3.5 teaspoons of baking powder, which I actually don't have that with me now. 1 1/4 cups of whole milk, which I don't have whole milk. We only drink skim at my house. 1 teaspoon of vanilla, which I don't currently have. And 2.5 cups of buttercream frosting. So those right there are your ingredients. And for your equipment, you're going to need a baking pan, something to mix it with, mixing and measuring cups and spoons, and something to divide up with all the batter. So let's get started. So you're going to need to preheat your oven right here to 350 degrees. Then you're going to have to get your pan, and in here you're going to sift your flour, baking soda, and salt all together, and then just set it aside at that next point. Then you're going to spray down your pans with baking spray or butter, like I told you earlier, because we can do the non-salted butter, or we can also do the baking spray, because that's a secondary option. You're going to want to make sure you get all around the edges and up the corners. And then you're going to put some flour on the sides and the bottom of the pan, but an alternative use that you can do is put parchment paper and line it at the bottom with that. But make sure when you do the flour, you will have to dump out the excess. Then you're going to beat your sugar and butter until it is fluffy and light. And you'll need to do this for about 3 to 5 minutes, I would say. Next, you're going to add your eggs one at a time. By adding your eggs just one at a time and mixing as you go, you will get them softer and smoother batter. Also, make sure your eggs are at room temperature. If not, the batter will look curdled. Then you're going to beat in half of your mixture from earlier, which is going to be your flour, baking soda, and salt mixture. And then you're going to beat in milk and vanilla at that point. And by alternating between the dry and liquid ingredients, it allows for the milk to be absorbed really well. Then you're going to beat in the second half of your mixture of flour, baking soda, and salt. And then you're going to pour it into your baking pan. You're going to bake this for about 25 to 30 minutes, and then you're going to look into your oven, and your cake will be fluffy and puffed up like a pillow in the pan. A test you can use to make sure your cake is good is to put a toothpick through the center of it. If the toothpick comes out clean, your cake is all good to eat. You're going to remove it from the oven and let it cool for about 15 minutes, and you can run the spatula around the edges to make sure it is loosened from the sides of the pan. And then you're going to frost. And right there is how you can make the best homemade cake in the whole gosh darn world. You'll just need all your supplies I told you earlier. You go ahead and preheat that little pretty oven over there. You'll do all that in mixing and I told you about earlier, and you'll bake it that son of a gun. Then we're going to put some frosting on it and we'll be all set to go. And right there is how you bake a cake.